And my name is Tony González, and we are here because you are going to release a new album called Double Exposure. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Fine, really fine, and glad to talk to you. Tell,
Great to talk to you too.
yes, tell me, is your first solo album with songs and lyrics? Why did you decide to make an album with guest vocalist?
I've wanted to do a vocal record for a long time, besides UFO, more of a solo thing, or with a band that I put together. And I just haven't had the time to get to it. So I've always kind of reverted to doing another instrumental record. And when I started this album, it was actually intended to be another instrumental record, maybe just 6 songs. So like an extended play kind of instrumental record. And somewhere in the middle of it, I kind of changed gears because I realized that all these songs could also be vocal songs. And as I was listening to the demos, I started hearing vocals in my head and lyrics. And I thought, hey, this could be a good vocal song. And then as I listened to all the songs, it was like, wow, all of these could be great vocal songs. And that's kind of when I decided to just go with it and get some of my friends that I've worked with, some singer friends, and make a vocal record. But I also wanted to keep the instrumental versions because that's how it started. So I decided to do both, this half and half um, concept. And it was during the COVID lockdowns. I had a lot of time to put it all together finally. And I just thought, just put something out there, whether it's quirky or different or crazy, who even cares at this point? Just make some music and release it and, hope that the fans like it.
Yes, for a moment, were you thinking of singing by your own?
No, I'm not that great of a singer. I mean, people definitely wouldn't like that. Although I do sing some backgrounds on the song Still Waters Run Deep. But what I did is when I make the demos, I sing to the tracks and just temporary lyrics, just to kind of show the vocalist, like, this is where the verse is, basically the song structure. And I give them some melodic ideas. And then I send off 2 versions, one with my temporary vocals and one with just music. And I told him, do whatever you want. If you want to totally do your own thing, that's great. If you want to use anything of mine, that's cool too. And, both things ended up happening. In some cases, they totally did their own thing. And in some cases, they used like a chorus of mine and a line here and there. So, it's a little bit of a collaboration. It was a lot of fun.
So perfect, because this will be my next question. If you allow them to change something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I sent the temporary singing just so they would get the idea and the feel and the vibe of the music. But I wanted them to just be creative and, get inspired and do their own thing. And I didn't have anyone come back with something that was totally not right for the song. In fact, every time I was like really surprised and really happy with what they contributed, what they came up with. And it was like, yes, this is great. And to be honest, I was kind of dreading it because I thought, okay, at least one song's going to be come back to me, and the singer's going to be totally missing the point, and I'm going to have to go to him and say, no, this isn't working. Can we try another approach? But that didn't happen, luckily. Everybody was like right on point with, they heard the music and did the right thing with the music.
Yes, in the last years, you have been releasing your own CDs with your own label, Mind's Eye Music. And
Right.
tell me, this label is only for your music, or you are open for other bands if they want to release the music through Mind's Eye Music?
No, it's just my stuff. I wanted to start it so I could release my own instrumental records. I've worked with labels in the past, many different ones. And at the point when I started making the Aerial Visions record, I just knew the right thing to do was for me to release it myself. So I had to like formally start a record label. And, that's where it all came about. And I've just been putting my records on that label.
Yes. when the people from UFO call you to get in the band, you had released 6 solo albums. And my question is, do you think that working in UFO marks your wider musical style as we can listen in your last CDs?
Well, I think that, yeah, the short answer is yes. And no matter what I was doing over the years, my music and playing would have grown into something, hopefully, or if you're not growing, then why even play? I mean, that would be bored. I don't ever like to stagnate. I kind of like to learn new things and grow and keep moving ahead. So yeah, I mean, that definitely had an influence. And everything I've done has had an influence. Like the Red Zone Rider record I did with Kelly Keeling, was definitely influenced my writing. And you learn as you go and you continue to add things to what you do.
I remember in your previous CD, Soul Shifter, that there is a song called Brother Carlos.
Right.
And I will never say that Carlos Santana was one of your influences. Tell me, what do you learn from his music?
I've always loved his playing from very early on. He's so passionate, so much feel and expressive in his playing. And when I was a kid, I was with my cousin in a car driving, and he played, I think it was Abraxas, and I heard this instrumental song Samba Pati, and it was so beautiful. And I just thought, wow, now that's something really special there. And I became a Carlos fan from that point on. I saw him many times in concert. Every time he came to the Philadelphia area, I was really into the Inner Secrets record, the live one, which I forget the name of it now, but it was half live, and he just had some great songs and great playing, and yeah, love Carlos.
I ask you about it because checking your previous CDs, it's easy to discover that, for example, on your first releases, you are more neoclassical, faster all the time, but now you are more, for example, into southern rock, into a wider musical style. And I remember that also in the previous CD, Soul Shifter, there is a song called Gainesville Station. And I can feel that in this new double exposure, music like this are included. For example, like the Southern rock, Another Feeling. So tell me.
Ironically, a lot of those influences are from early when I first started playing guitar and in my first bands as I was learning. I was into blues, Southern rock, and Carlos. And in the bands I played, we did songs by the Allman Brothers, Molly Hatchet, lots of Leonard Skinner. So that influence is actually really early in my career and my, you know, being a player. I was just a kid. But by the time I got to the first record, I had really gotten into guys like Al Di Meola, Larry Carlton, Richie Blackmore. And so I started at some point getting into classical music because I heard that Richie Blackmore was into Beethoven and Bach. And I learned a lot from that. And, on the first record, I was actually more diverse of a player, but what we were going for, what the label wanted, and what I thought was best also at that time was to make more of the neoclassical kind of record with lots of technique. And I've often thought back and thought maybe I should have showed a little bit more of what I'm all about as an artist, but a Southern rock song wouldn't have fit on that record at all. So it's probably a good thing that I did what I did. But what happens is when you make those early records, people hear that and they think they have a feel for what you are stylistically and musically, and they kind of want you to stay there forever. And it's they don't always realize that there are other aspects to your playing, and that you might go in different directions. And if I was doing the same record, the Mind's Eye record, over and over, making basically the same record in the same style, it would be boring for me. I have to show different things, go in different directions, to keep it fun and exciting.
I remember now that you say that in 1991 you released Meltdown. Why don't you continue this way? The
The
jazz,
Meltdown stuff.
jazz, yes, the more jazzy music mixed with heavy metal and so.
I think there are elements of the fusiony stuff in things after that. Even now, the last few records. I mean, I've always been a rock guy who takes different elements from different styles of music, like blues, classical, jazz, and funk, and just steals it all and brings it into a rock package. Because, I've always been a rock guy, but I like a lot of different styles of music, and I learn from everywhere. And, so I want to incorporate like as much as possible. When I did the Meltdown record, I was just kind of burnt out and tired of the whole classical thing, because I had done it a lot and it was quite popular at the time. So everybody started doing that kind of music. And it's like, I just felt like no more. I have to get away from this for a while. And so at that point, I was going to do a vocal record. And I wrote a bunch of vocal songs and started working with a singer. And it didn't work out. The plans, it just didn't happen. And so I started writing even more songs, and that became the Meltdown record. And I think maybe having written songs for the vocal record, all those vocal songs, maybe also changed my perspective too. And I thought, hey, I just want to do a rock record. It sounds like a rock band without the vocals, just instrumental. And so I went more straight ahead rock.
Talking about this new CD, there is a song, Astro Man, that reminds me at the beginning, Jimi Hendrix. It was done on purpose, the Voodoo Child, for example.
Wow, what's really funny is a lot of people have said that. And in fact, I released the titles of the record before it came out, and people started making that comparison just by the title, Astro Man. And I can see that it has a little bit of a Hendrix space vibe. But I was really into Hendrix and picked up a lot from him, love his playing. In Astro Man, I wasn't really going for that. Maybe it happened subconsciously. Consciously, I wasn't thinking of a Hendrix thing for that. But I tell you where I was thinking of Hendrix was in the song Rocket, especially in the middle section where it breaks down and gets quiet and just jamming. I was thinking the Band of Gypsies live record, how they, would play loud and then kind of bring it down softly, and Hendrix would turn the guitar volume down, play some licks, and they would build it up. So that was totally inspired by Jimmy, and I was aware of that. Astro Man, if I was, it was not consciously.
I think that there is more, because when I check your previous CD, now we mentioned previously Steve Gaines. I'm thinking that Steve Gaines' career was too short. And I was thinking how a man like Steve Gaines influences you.
He was a big influence on me. As I said, I grew up playing Leonard Skinner songs in a band. I mean, I learned so many of those tunes, even if I didn't play them in my band. And I was really into the song I Know a Little. He's really great on that. The intro was so cool. And there's one little phrase on there that to this day, I can't still figure out what he's doing. It's so crazy. And yeah, I mean, his sense of swing, and it's just such a shame, as you said, that he didn't get the opportunity to have a longer career. He would have done some real special stuff, I'm sure. And yeah, he was one of my influences. And Gainesville Station from the Soul Shifter record was kind of written as a tribute.
Yes. And now in this CD, there is a song called Hummingbird. And tell me about the song, because these songs made me do a link between song from the previous CD and this new CD?
Right. Just had a southern vibe to it. So musically, so I knew like the right singer to ask to be on this song was Keith Slack. He's like a southern man. He's from Texas. He has a southern voice, and I knew that he's the guy I should ask to sing on it because he had the perfect voice for that style. I wasn't really thinking anything when I wrote it, and usually when I write songs, I don't try to go in a particular direction or, consciously try to do something. It just kind of sort of happens. I let the songs write themselves, so to speak. And it had a southern vibe. And yeah, it's just kind of, as I said, part of what I do. It's in there somewhere. My southern influences were from early on. And at some point, everything's going to come out, I think, when you're working on songs.
Yes, I'm going to confess you something, Vinnie. As a fan, when I read that you enter get in UFO, the band, I felt a little disappointed. But this disappointment was finished when I saw you in concert at Hellfest some years ago. And then I saw you again in UFO here in Spain in Leyendas del Rock.
Right.
Yes. And now maybe you don't know this, or you, of course, on the stage, you don't pay attention, or you cannot pay attention to this. But there was a moment when I saw that you were playing a guitar solo. The people were around me with their mouth open, watching you, because it was pure magic when you play with a UFO. Now you are part of UFO for 20 years. When you get in the band and write songs for You Are Here, were you thinking that this relationship will be forever?
No, honestly, I was thinking maybe it would be 3 or 5 years, be a fun thing to do, and then I'll move on, a couple years down the road. And it's been a lot of fun. We kept doing records, we kept doing tours, and the years just, man, flew by so quickly. And it's hard to believe it's been almost 20 years, to be honest with you. I never saw that coming. And, it's been a nice ride. It's been a lot of fun. I'm glad I've been doing it. And so many fans all over the world that I see at our shows that I recognize, and they continue to come back. And it's been a real special thing. And as far as the people out there with their mouths open, that's because I have a secret switch on my guitar. I press this switch and it emits this frequency that's, you can't actually hear it sonically, but it goes into the brain, hypnotizes people, and that's my magic.
Yes.
I wished I had such a switch.
Yes. Let me tell you that I should believe it. I should believe you. Yes, because it's really that. I think that you give fresh blood to the band. There are, if we are counting years, there are some members in UFO that could be your fathers, and
maybe they are too.
Yes, when you are all together on tour, did they treat you like a son? There is a good relationship.
Oh, sorry.
Father son.
We've become really good friends, and we all have like a sense of humor, a similar sense of humor. So most of the time we're joking and having fun, and it's just a tight group of friends. More that than father son kind of thing. But yeah, it's been really good to get to know the people, not only the band, but we have people in our crew it's been so great getting to know the crew and make good friends there also.
And when you are playing the classical UFO songs, it's easy for you to respect the original solos?
There's certain parts of those songs that you have to play, the melodies, and so I always play those quintessential melodies that I feel are part of the song. just like I would with my songs if I went out and played live. But there are also spots like in the middle where you just kind of go for the general vibe of the original song, but improvise. You know, like any whoever played, whether it be Schenker or Chapman, when they played live with UFO, I'm sure they didn't copy their solos night for night. I'm sure there was a fair amount of improvisation going on and playing the important melodies that should be played. I'm sure they did those. And so that's kind of the way I approach it, you know, just play the stuff that needs to be played, and then where there's room to stretch out a little bit, you know, improvise but play within the feel and vibe of the song.
Vinny, and now what can we expect from the next year, 2023, now that you have released a new CD and you tour, you play with UFO some months ago, you did a tour, an European tour or something like that. So tell me, what can we expect for 2023?
Okay, well, there's definitely going to be some solo shows. I want to go out and do some of the songs from the Double Exposure record, of course. I've been doing Europe and I've done America, but it's been a couple of years. So we're looking into dates for America first, and Europe will be later. And UFO, I think some shows might happen, but of course, who can say for sure? I have a feeling Phil's really going to want to do it. And as long as he feels good about how, you know, his health, then I'm thinking he'll want to go out and do some shows. But, you know, I can't say for sure, but that's just my feel. And we'll see what happens. And hopefully we do.
Perfect. And if you go on tour with your own band, who is going to be the singer?
That's a good question. And it, it deserves a good answer that I don't actually have right now. Often when I go out and do solo shows, because I haven't done solo shows enough. I've been doing it in between like UFO or whatever. There hasn't really been a permanent band. So when I go out, I'll see who's available to play and then, you know, put the band together at that moment. But I eventually want to get to a point where there is a permanent band, but I'm not to that point yet. I need to have more time to do the solo thing to put a permanent band together. But I think that's coming soon. It's on the horizon. But as far as next year, I don't know yet. We'll have to wait till I get closer to that time. You know, sometimes people aren't available, they're doing other things. And so there's a lot of variables and can't really answer right now. Yeah, I think that's going to happen and I'm going to pursue that direction. The UFO thing is winding down, of course. Maybe we've already played our last show. I don't know. I'm hopeful that there will be more, but you know, eventually that's not going to last too much longer. So, yeah, I want to do a permanent rock band.
Vinny, that was basically my questions. If you want to say something to say goodbye, this is your moment.
To the fans of Spain, I always love playing there. You know, there's so much passion and everywhere in Spain, and I want to come back again. I look forward to it. On my last European run, we didn't visit Spain because there wasn't enough time. And I remember saying to the promoter, well, why don't we do Spain first and cut something else? But it just didn't work out on that run. So I'm anxious to get back again on the next year.
Yes, I hope to see you next year. So the secret frequency, you will play again with the secret frequency. I will see with my mouth open to see
yes,
you play.
You can't lose. It gives you a great sense of security to know you can just hit the switch at any time, and it hypnotizes people. And yeah.
Okay, Vinny, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Great talking to you.
Yes, me too. I hope to see you next year.
Okay. I hope to see you too. I'm sure we will meet.
So, bye-bye.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.